Joining us right now, Congressman officially now, Congressman-elect Jody Arrington. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, Chad. I've enjoyed being with you over the last year, but as much as I love you, I'm ready to go to work and maybe spend more time trying to solve problems than just talk about the problems that we need to solve. And I'm reminded of the verse, I think it's in the Psalms, where it says, weeping lasts for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. I got to tell you this, to wake up today to Donald Trump as our president, to have a Republican House and Senate, and to know that that's where I'm going to represent this great region and to have the opportunity to really advance the ball. It's one thing to say, well, we tried and we got it to the Senate, and Mitch McConnell and the president, and he didn't sign it. Look, we are where we had hoped and prayed we'd be. And as a freshman representing the values of this district and the conservative ideals and the constitutional principles and all the things that we believe that's made America great, it's a good day. It's a good day for West Texas, and I'm the most proud West Texan because I get to represent you, Chad, and your family and all your listeners.
Well, and let me ask you about this. Again, I think everybody's looking forward to not only you, but Republicans getting to Washington, D.C. and working. One of the things that I took away from last night's election was people are tired of politicians talking. They want to see action. They want to see results. Not everything that was promised is going to happen within the next 2 to 4 years. What do you have to do, and what do Republicans have to do? Because the pressure is on now with the Republicans having the White House, the Senate, and the House. Expectations are going to be high. So what do Republicans and what do you have to do when you get to Washington, D.C.?
Well, you make a great point, and as much as we're excited about it, we can't squander the opportunity, and I think you're right. I think the expectations now are going to be much higher, and they should be. But we've got, and because we've got to work together. And I thought Trump's speech last night was the tone was right. Campaigns can be brutal and personal, and be divisive, quite frankly, for the country. Because we're competitive people by nature. But now it's time to come together, especially as a party. But I think it's time to come together beyond that. It's time to come together as a country. I mean, that's one of the things I liked about Trump was it's like, let's put our country's interest first and let's solve the problems. He comes at it very pragmatically as a businessman and looks at the situation and says, are you kidding me? Can we not fix this? Can we not come together like every American family and every American business and produce a result? And as you know, Chad, because I said it on your show, every time it seems like we talk, our mantra was we've got to change the course and culture of Washington, and we need conservatives who are conservative leaders, which means converting our ideals and principles into results and action. And I do think we'll have a great opportunity to do that. And, of course, my biggest sigh of relief is the Supreme Court. Yeah. Chad, it's your children, it's my children. I mean, it's our children's children. But, yeah, we've got to come together as a party. I'm glad he recognized Priebus last night. And we've got to not squander, but come and get a playbook and execute on that relentlessly, and do it in a way that also, let's not repeat the mistakes. Let's learn from the mistakes even of President Obama, and let's do it and espouse our principles in the most positive and hopeful way. Because, after all, ours are the ideals that created this republic in the first place. So we can do that, I think, and be less divisive. And so I'm excited.
I know you've been traveling around the district. I know you've been talking to a lot of people. I know you've talked to those in Washington, D.C. You're trying to get ahead of the game. When sworn in, what is Congressman Arrington? What is priority number one to work on? What is the first thing? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish, or at least start to accomplish immediately?
Well, think about this for a minute. You've got a pro-U.S. producer, manufacturer, pro-American industry president. He didn't get into the details of that, but he doesn't have to. His sentiment is our trade deals have left us in with the short end of the stick. I don't know how that happened, but we all, I think, have a sense of that. We also have our neighbor to the south, Mike Conaway, chairman of the Ag Committee. There's nothing more important to our economy than agriculture, to this economy. It affects everybody. It affects every business. It affects our 17,000 healthcare employees. It affects Texas Tech, et cetera. So I get the privilege, and I can hardly, I'm kind of hyperventilating just talking to you about it because I'm excited. I love solving problems, and I love challenges. But the stars are there, it seems, and I know it'll be tough. It's not going to be easy. But you got a farm bill in the next 2 years. My first term, you'll have because it doesn't come but every 5 years, and I'll have the opportunity to work with a new group of freshmen and who I've gotten to know, by the way, over the last several years. Many of whom come from rural districts and ag-based economies, and a president that's going to be pro-agriculture, I believe, and a chairman of agriculture that is our neighbor in West Texas. I think that's got to be job number one because I think you can't get your eye off the ball of making sure that our interests are the priorities of our country. If I thought that was contrary to what's best for America, I wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't have said it. But the fact that we can feed and clothe our own people independent of other nations helping us, I think that's as important as energy independence. I've said that over and over. I believe it with all my heart. And most of that, I say most of that, a great deal of that, and as a percentage, most of that is coming right here. People ought to be very proud of what we're producing and what we're contributing to America from West Texas. And I'm going to let them know that. And I'm going to get to let them know that every day. So
we're visiting with Congressman-elect Jody Arrington. Before I let you go, one of the big things that you brought up, and I've touched on it a little bit as well, is unity and Republican unity, the party getting together. But there's going to be a little bit of a fight because of how Speaker Paul Ryan, at least this has been a topic in the news, as you have seen, and I know that you've met with Speaker Ryan before. Donald Trump and Speaker Ryan have not always seen eye to eye during this campaign. I know Speaker Ryan did call last night to congratulate Donald Trump. There are some, even in the talk show world, Sean Hannity being one of them, who has said, time for Paul Ryan to go. In your opinion, is it time for Paul Ryan to go? Does he need to stay as Speaker? How do you feel about Paul Ryan as Speaker?
I think for me, it's too early to make that judgment. I will give you my thoughts on it, though. I think that dissent is good and healthy, by the way. I'm not one that thinks, in every job I've had, every team I've led, I encourage dissent. In fact, I'm worried when we don't have dissent. What I do expect of my people when I'm leading a team, my colleagues, is to say, look, let's dissent, let's argue and debate, and let's do it constructively. But at the end of the day, we're only going to achieve, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That is a principle that's universal, and it applies to the Republican Party. So after you dissent and after you debate, we come to a conclusion, and then we go and execute as one. And that's where I think we've dropped the ball sometimes. So if I didn't like that Paul Ryan didn't support Trump, I think there at the end he turned and said, I'm focusing on the House races. Nobody liked what Trump said. Nobody liked that video. nobody in West Texas felt like that was representative of us and our values. But we also recognize we're not perfect, and no candidate's perfect. And he apologized for it, and those were words, and there were unfortunate words, and nobody's going to defend that. But I thought that was too reactionary, and I think, and so I can appreciate why Donald Trump might have some issues. But I think Paul Ryan is a unifying force, so there are lots of positive things. I think he's also he's put out that Better Way strategy, the playbook on how we turn this around and apply our conservative ideas in legislation, from repealing Obamacare to strengthening the military. But so he's strong on ideas. And I think he can be a unifying force in the House. So I think there's some pros and I think there's some cons, and that's something that I'll be ferreting out for myself, and I'll be listening to folks in my district, and then I'll explain why I supported or didn't support him. But either way, whether it's Speaker Ryan or Speaker fill in the blank, dissent is good. But to continually have the tension publicly, and as we move forward to execute and implement, that's not good, and that will squander our opportunities.
Real quick before I let you go, and I know you've got a busy schedule today, you come from a unique position because you worked for former President George W. Bush. There are some who say that Donald Trump should get involved in a speaker's race. It's been warned before that the president shouldn't do that, that it's going to tick off those in Congress. You're coming into Congress now, so you're in a unique position. Is that something where you would advise a president, hey, stay out of this? This is the job of the House of Representatives to deal with when it comes to the speaker's race?
That's a great question, Chad. And I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, because I just don't see Donald Trump, given his the referendum from the people and given his personality, not weighing in on that. I don't think he should just not weigh in. I think it's the way you weigh in. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at is, look, Donald Trump's the president, and or will be the president, and he's been elected by the people. And we, the people, have made our voices known. It's like we've redeclared our independence. I mean, it's that significant. And we'll talk about that, another time. But because of that, and because of the mandate from the people, I think he deserves a voice at the table in that regard. It's just that he also has to respect, I think, Congress and the process there, and if you strike that balance, it will work out, in a constructive way.
Great. Hey, I appreciate you taking your time today. Congratulations again, and I hope to have you on quite a bit throughout your time in Washington, D.C.
Well, we're going to do that, and please let me just say thank you to your listeners again, and I want them to know how honored I am, whether they supported me or not. I'm proud to represent them, and I'll do my very best to do it in a manner that will reflect well on them and their families and our community. Okay? God bless you, buddy.
Thank you very much. That's Congressman-elect Jody Arrington. Appreciate your time, sir.